Right. I'm going to talk about blockchain innovations and the impact of this technology on intellectual property. How I've structured this is to sort of look at what blockchain is very briefly, look at the uses that it's being put to at the moment. I'm going to slowly sort of segue into the uses that it is being put to in the intellectual property realm and potentially how we could use it in the future for IP. Along the way, I'll try and flag some challenges that this throws up. And hopefully we can explore some more stuff in the questions. All right, so what is the blockchain? And bear with me here, this is a bit of a mouthful. The blockchain is a distributed public ledger of digital transactions that are copied across numerous computers in a decentralized peer-to-peer network. The distributed ledger is composed of a chain of sequenced, immutable transaction records structured as blocks that are linked by cryptography. So here's the ELI5 version. That's the explain it like I'm 5 version. At its most basic level, the blockchain is essentially a database of blocks of information, a digital ledger of transactions that are strung together in a chain formed by mathematics. Now, each block contains thousands of transactions that are incredibly difficult to edit and well-nigh impossible to delete, making it immutable. Each block of information is also completely secure. This is because each computer in the blockchain network has its own copy of the blockchain, which means that there are thousands, or in the case of Bitcoin, millions of copies of the same blockchain, which updates automatically whenever a new block is added. This makes the information more difficult to manipulate because this gives us a common digital history, verifiable by thousands of users instead of a single authenticating or auditing institution like a bank. So what I'm saying is with the blockchain, there is no single definitive account of events that can be manipulated. Instead, a hacker would need to manipulate every single copy of the blockchain on the network. So what are we using blockchain for at the moment? It's most famously being used in modern finance, in fintech, with an enormous potential for making fund exchanges between institutions faster and more secure, for instance, or speeding up settlement and clearing processes in the stock trading business. Capgemini estimates that consumers could save up to $16 billion in banking and insurance fees every year through blockchain-based applications. In cryptocurrencies, the use of blockchain eliminates the need for a central regulatory or verifying authority, potentially making currency more reliable and stable even in economies with unstable governments and fluctuating currency rates. Now, since distributed ledger technology, that's what blockchain is, creates a secure, time-stamped, immutable chain of information, it's already finding applications in brand protection and enforcement, marketing, consumer engagement. It's already being used to track the progress of goods in supply chains, and this in particular is of interest to many IP-intensive sectors, including the pharmaceutical, automotive, luxury, and consumer goods industries, where the traceability of goods is important and counterfeit and gray goods are of concern. So the blockchain, for instance, is used by Microsoft and Amazon to validate cloud data. It's used by Google to assist self-driving cars. It's used by game makers to validate the authenticity of digital goods. This is a great segue into how to use it in IP. So the blockchain may change the way we evidence IP ownership. It can be used to demonstrate documented ownership without revealing the contents of the document. It can provide proof that a document was authored at a particular time. It allows a user to upload a file and pay a fee for cryptographic proof of the file being included on the blockchain. It could revolutionize administrative control and regulation of examination procedures for patent and trademark applications. Now, smart contracts in particular have a tremendous potential for applications in the IP scenario. What's a smart contract? It's a piece of code in the blockchain that generates transactions if the conditions encoded in the blockchain are met. Basically, a smart contract will translate the logic of a contract into the language of the blockchain. So in most cases, smart contracts basically encode if-then conditions. So what we're looking at is, if a user pays X amount of cryptocurrency to a smart contract account, then the contract grants them access to a digital copy of a work. So in a similar vein, if a smart contract could help us in distribution of revenues, for instance, that helps us with copyrights. If a copyright work generated Y amount of remuneration in its corresponding account, the smart contract can distribute the revenue amongst rights holders. A question that we're asking now is whether blockchain technology itself is patentable. Now, the thing to remember is blockchain technology is not new. It was first seen in the literature in 1991. Another thing to remember is that blockchain is based on open source client software, as in the source code for blockchain is open source. Anyone is free to copy and improve on it. So there are novelty and inventive step issues to be considered, but these could potentially be overcome given the staggering number of ways in which blockchain technology can be customized for specific purposes. The most significant hurdle that we should be concerned about is that given the way blockchain technology works, getting a patent on it is akin to getting a software patent based on an abstract idea or algorithm, because the functioning of the technology is based on a series of steps performed. Now, it's been covered that jurisprudence and legislation on this is nascent and sparse. So let's take a look at what we do have. There's been a bit of a nod to US Supreme Court decisions by the Indian courts. So I'll quickly sort of go over that. My colleagues here will know that the US Supreme Court has said that part of the test when assessing whether or not a claim containing patent ineligible subject matter could become patent eligible is to look at whether a claim that recites an abstract idea must include additional features to ensure that the claim is more than a drafting effort designed to monopolize the abstract idea. Now, even if the claim in these patent applications employs blockchain's well-known algorithm, if it uses the algorithm in a process designed to solve a technological problem in conventional industry practice, the assignee could still be granted the patent. Now, with Indian law, the Indian Patents Act proscribes or bars from patentability a mathematical or business method or a computer program per se or algorithms. And in a nod to the US law that I was just referring to the Mayo and Alice decisions, the Delhi High Court in 2015 in the Erickson decision said that any invention which has a technical contribution or has a technical effect and is not merely a computer program per se is patentable. Now, the Indian Patent Office issued guidelines for the examination of computer-related inventions. And these guidelines tell us, thank you, that the substance of such claims needs to be examined. We've seen recent patent grants by the Indian Patent Office for patent applications related to software and algorithms, which suggest that if they do provide a technical solution to a technical problem, by providing a practical application or an improved technical effect of underlying software, you could get a grant. We do know that some patent applications based in blockchain technology have already been filed in India, mostly in the financial technology sector. We've got applications filed by Barclays, for instance, MasterCard International. These are yet to be examined, so it remains to be seen what the views of the Indian Patent Office are. I'm going to quickly end because we've run out of time, but there are some statistics on what's going on with blockchain technology worldwide. We're all agreed that there's no doubt that we're going to see a number of teething problems and growing pains, just like when the internet first appeared. And it took us 2 decades to perfect it, and we still haven't done that. The legal community needs to resolve a whole host of issues, including but not limited to jurisdiction, enforceability, especially in the smart contract areas. The fact remains that blockchain is here to stay, and the pace at which this technology can be applied to various use areas is projected to be very brisk. With a refinement of both legal and technical issues, blockchain promises to make business and government operations around the world more efficient, more transparent, and more secure. Thank you.